I'm Nichole Jordan, National Managing Partner of Markets, Clients, and Industries at Grant Thornton. Today, I'm in Washington, D.C. at the headquarters of the Consumer Technology Association with CEO Gary Shapiro, who is author of Ninja Future, and congratulations, by the way, Gary, and also the famous host of CES. Pleased to be here with you today.
Nichole, thank you so much for coming to our headquarters. We're honored to have you. The most downloaded segment for CES was the one that you gave the interview. So fantastic. We are honored that you've joined CTA, participated in CES, and are here today.
That's great. Well, we want to talk about that. It's great to team together. Want to get your insights on a couple of different areas, Gary, and certainly hear more about your book and people come to you for great insights on the future of technology and of innovation. So you see everything. What is your advice for senior business leaders as they look at evaluating the difference between disruptive technologies and those that are really more of our typical innovations that you would expect to see today?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for focusing on the book. I mean, to be totally candid, it was inspired by your boss, Mike, who we were talking on the phone. I think you were in the room there, and we talked about this shared vision we had that we have to explain where the world is going in terms of technology to literally the tens of thousands of CEOs who don't spend every day focusing on technology, but every company is now a technology company. We've been talking about that as a concept for years, so our advice is to take advantage of technology, to try to get there first if you can, but also to build a team to be a ninja, and that's what the book is about. It's about the ancient fighters that are the ninjas who overcome great odds and won, and they did it for a whole bunch of reasons. They established a very diverse team, they prepared, they practiced, but they knew when they hit that battlefield, everything changes, and that describes the business world. We know what the ingredients are that are necessary, all these technologies, diversity, different skill sets, knowing yourself, complementing your weaknesses when you build your team. But in terms of execution, how do you get there? And that's what we, in Ninja Innovation and in Ninja Future, the last two Ninja books, this is what I talk about. And that's what the message we're trying to get to the world.
Excellent. So, Gary, I think that is so relevant for our client base today. We serve a lot of companies in the tech space, of course, but a lot of companies in many other industries that fall into the category of those who will be tech companies in the future, right? So trying to get that message out to them, we're in conversations with the C-suite, the management teams, the board, as they look to prepare for the future.
And they have to focus on that, and that's where you perform a very valuable service, because you have to know the environmental landscape. You have to approach the things that not only are you seeing it, but your competitors are seeing the same thing, and you have to get ahead. I'm still struck by what I heard Jeff Bezos speak. I believe I was there with you in December.
Club.
Right.
Yes.
And the thing that he left me with many things, but one thing he said was we were ahead on cloud computing. And usually you get 18 months. We got 3 years on cloud computing. And that's really led to a lot of Amazon's profitability and growth. And what struck me is he was there first. And he kept it quiet in a way, and others didn't catch on that quickly. And now they are, and a lot of companies are in that space, and a lot of companies are benefiting. But to get there first is a good thing to be, but sometimes it's painful to get there first. And sometimes people think they have to be perfect to be there first. No, you just have to listen to your customers. And you know, sometimes the larger the company is, the more difficult it is to move. Because a lot of times there's several layers of bureaucracy, there's planning, there's every opportunity to say no to go up. And sometimes you're stuck with a plan and a large budget, and you're going on a bad strategy and you can't change it because it's in the plan. And that's where the smaller companies and the entrepreneurs are really doing well. So one of the things I talk about a lot in the book is how large companies should partner with smaller companies. And because that's where the opportunity is. Small companies can move quickly. They need that investment. They need the mentoring. They need the first customer. And they need sometimes the money, or they could be acquired. But it's in the interest of these bigger companies to partner to go across their base. And the other thing I talk about, which I think is very relevant for what you do, is I talk about the value of outside firms and that they bring expertise in and they could help you. And good ones do that, but the great ones, what they do is they actually look at their different clients and they see synergies there and they put them together.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Gary. Really well said. And I think that is top of mind for boards, for the C-suite today, and how do they get that outside-in perspective that is really shaping their agenda? So along those lines, what advice do you have for board members as they look to prepare for the future, technology, disruption, innovation, and how they're shaping their agenda? What would you advise boards to do to bring in that kind of perspective and focus as they look out to 2019?
That's a great question, because we are by definition a nonprofit trade association, but we're composed of only corporate members, and I deal with the CEOs of all sorts of companies, and I love asking corporate governance questions. I ask about their board and I learn a lot. I think you need diversity, and not certainly diversity in the physical sense, but significantly diversity in the expertise sense. You need diversity in terms of cybersecurity and legal and policy and marketing and sales and innovation. You need so much. You really have to handpick not your friends and not those, but those who will supplement you as a CEO in a sense and make you better. They will ask you questions, will give you different perspectives. I look at our own board, which is a very different board of large company, small company, different categories of services and the input that I've gotten on things I didn't even thought of has been so valuable in our success and our growth as an entity, as the largest business event in the world with CES, that I think you have to ask the right questions. You have to think about it, and you also have to, take shots, but you shoot where they're going, not where they were. So you have to look into the future, and you need a lot of diversity of opinion to look into that future.
Absolutely. Well, and Gary, just to again congratulate you and your team on such an incredible CES experience. And I want to let you know that we hosted a cohort of CEOs and board members and took them through an innovation immersion experience at CES. And they found it extremely valuable, enlightening in their roles. And probably one of the biggest points of feedback is that they want to come back next year with their entire management team or with their entire board to experience this and incorporate some strategic sessions, visioning sessions in and around CES. So you resonate with so many.
Well, because I love CES. I took the job here because I came to CES. I was an outside consultant, and it was so exciting. I said, I want to be part of this because this is the future. It's the free marketplace putting out. It's corporations, 4,500 now, different companies giving their face to the world. 180,000 people focused on innovation at the senior level. And with 7,000 media, 60,000 people from outside the U.S., it's not only do you see the future, but you're inspired. I have yet to meet anyone who's gone there and walked the floor at a strategic level and not been inspired and come back with dozens of different ideas about the business. And it starts the year with optimism. And it's also the free market. It's capitalism at its very, very best, because you see companies, some of them have similar products, trying to find their USP, their unique selling proposition, trying to figure out their future and position themselves. And a lot of the ideas, we have an area of 1,300 startups, Eureka Park. Some of those ideas will never make it, but they get feedback to change their business plan. They form partnerships. They do all sorts of things they never anticipate. The value, I love tech. We don't have to meet to even do these things. We don't have to go physically go, but you know what we do? Because you get a lot of other body cues and whether you trust a person or not, you use your 5 senses in the experience. You also have serendipity, and it's so difficult to define the value of serendipity, but it is huge at CES. And it's at CES in Las Vegas. We have a show in Shanghai, which is growing very quickly. We have events around the world in Amsterdam and Paris and others, because the world is saying you produce events really well in terms of getting people together, not only seeing products and technology, but conveying ideas. Our focus on resilience, with your help. Yes. Smart cities is out there, self-driving, robotics, drones, healthcare, new technologies all over. I mean, that's what makes CES so exciting. Absolutely.
Well, and Gary, being the leader of CES for so many years, the hub, everybody's going to see what the program your team has produced. And that has shaped the book, Ninja Future, right? So all of these insights that you've accumulated, and you are with the leading minds constantly around tech, around innovation. So tell us how that shaped the book and how it shapes the insights you're sharing this year.
Sure. I mean, I am blessed. To me, I have the most exciting job in the world. without the risks of the U.S. presidency. To be at the centerpiece of all these different technologies which are fundamentally changing mankind, that'll solve some of the most basic problems we have today in healthcare and people getting killed in cars and hurt, in transportation, in food production, in clean water, in so many areas, education, entertainment, and it's all there, and we're moving quickly. The technologies are moving so quickly to solve these fundamental problems. We're going to be living longer, we're going to be doing all these things, but they raise other issues. There's issues that we're facing involving what will people do in jobs? What kind of jobs should we be training people for? How do we educate them? How do we make sure we have a better society, a healthier society? How do we get to artificial intelligence? I mean, there's national and corporate competitions going on at this point. How do we deal with privacy? There's all these big issues. So what I try to do is talk about some of the basic technologies, as we say, we know what we know. We know some of the things we don't know, but we don't know what we don't know also, to quote a famous general. And that's so we try to talk about those things and then say, here are some strategies to deal with all those different situations. Here's some groups to read. Here are the questions you should be asking. And here's some personal strategies. Having spoken with so many people and CEOs around the world and spent time with a lot of them, here are things that I've learned in terms of my own. We have a company it's tiny by your standards, of about 200 people, but we work with so many others, thousands of volunteers and others. Here's things I've learned in my career of dealing with people, how you take advantage of situations, how you learn, how you engage people, how you ask the right questions. And I try to put it all in one interesting package with some personal stories in there as well.
I love the personal stories too, by the way. So the questions to ask, that is a top area we are contacted about all the time, especially from the CEO perspective or the board as they're joining different committees. What are some of the major questions they should be asking as they're helping to shape the agenda and kind of prepare?
Well, first, before you join a board, there's a lot of questions. I've joined a lot of boards, and then I learned about the questions I should have asked. You should always see the financial statements. You should see any legal actions that are threatened or real. You should understand, there's a lot of things that they seduce you to join a board, and then you learn there's a reason they want you. And it may be for their own credibility. It may be because you could provide an expertise, but you should, our time is the most precious thing that we have to allocate. So we should be very careful about what we do with it. So join the right board where there's chemistry, there's a willingness. And joining a board because you're the friend of the CEO is probably not the best thing because it could get you in trouble. So in our business lives, we do put up a little bit of a barrier. In terms of once you're on the board, I mean, I've learned to keep asking deeper and deeper questions. I've been in so many situations where you ask the questions, and one of the things, sometimes people feel stupid asking questions, and I talk about this in the book a lot, because asking questions is the most valuable thing you could do, but people don't want to feel stupid in front of their peers. So there's not the questions that should be asked. There's not the homework that's sometimes done by the board members. And it goes into making sure that you're alone with the auditor, to understanding what their technology plan is and where they see the future going, and making sure that there's as it comes out, board members are more and more responsible for some of these hidden problems involving the CEO. The CEOs, I hate to say it, but their personal lives. I mean, there's a lot of things. And the questions I know factually are not being asked by a lot of companies and a lot of board members.
Agreed. And I think we're seeing a shift. So we are in a lot of those conversations around how can the C-suite and the board be prepared in the best way possible. And I think this is a big piece of it. This is a big piece of it, just getting that outside external perspective. So along the lines of all the great things you do for CES, but on a very different note and different scale, I think we'll be together in a couple of weeks at South by Southwest. Tell us how you think about that, and you all are actively involved there.
Yeah, so CTA has been there, and we have something called Innovation Policy Day. And that's something that what we do at South by. First of all, it's fun to go to South by, I have to say, because it's not our event. We go to another major event that someone else is producing. We don't worry about some of the things. But March 12th, we have an annual Innovation Policy Day, and we get these panels of really substantive, bright people that focus on the biggest policy issues for the tech industry. And it's live streamed, and it's exciting, and it's substantive, and it's standing room only. But you're invited, of course.
We will be there.
And it's really become the policy event at South by, and it's a good partnership we have with them. I think we respect the fact they produce the show. It is a little disorienting to go to South by for me compared to CES because there's so much going on there all over the town in so many different ways, and it's not a trade. I mean, there is an exhibit area, but it's not a trade show. But it's a cultural experience for the most part.
It is. I went to school at UT.
Right. So, and then there's Austin, of course.
Then there's Austin. So no, that will be terrific. And I know we are bringing a great group together to go through the South by Southwest experience. And your day or series of days is top on our agenda.
Oh, great.
So
that's great to hear.
Looking forward to it.